such as developmental English, developmental math, developmental reading. Well, there was a reason you were targeted that way, because compared to everybody else, you were more of an at-risk student. Are there some people that got a letter from the institution that said, thank you for your interest in our institution, but don't come here? In other words, they got rejected. Here's the people who got full ride scholarships. Here's the people who got rejected. In some way, shape, or form, and the insurance analogy is probably a better analogy, although we don't ever see insurance companies giving us money back, of what goes on in this particular situation. This is what it means to have a curved or a normal distribution data. Some of you might be familiar with the term grading on a curve. What does that mean to you?
More points.
That everybody's going to get more grades because everybody did sucky on the test, so the teacher didn't want to look bad, so everybody gets another 10 points on their grade. That's actually called inflation. Grading on the curve means there are going to be only a certain number of you that get A's. And that's going to be the same percentage that get F's. And there's a certain percentage that are going to get B's. And that same percentage is going to get D's. And the vast majority of you are going to get C's. Grading on a curve is what really goes on here, and that's not necessarily something you ever want to ask a math instructor about. Ask your English instructor about it because they don't understand that, maybe. I won't say they all don't, okay? But if you tell me about grading on the curve, I'm going to have nightmares. Because when I was a sophomore in college, in my third semester of calculus, I was in a class that had only 8 people. 8 people is not enough people to be a normal distribution. The instructor said, we're grading on the curve. I had not taken statistics yet. I thought that was a good thing. At the end of the term, I had an 88.5% average, and when I got my grade report, I was surprised to find out that I got a D. My father was even more surprised to find out I got a D. That was not good, okay? But grading on the curve meant only a certain percentage was going to get something. So I had the misfortune of being in a class that had the number 1 grade point average in the math department, the number 2 average, the number 4, the number 7. I wasn't number 8 or number 9, I was somewhere down the line in there, but there was 1 A in the class, the student that had a 100. His best friend ceased being his best friend the next day because he got a 99% and he got a B. The number 4 person had a 96 average and got a C. The number 7 person had a 91 average and got a D. I had an 88 average and I got a D. My best friend had an 85 average. He quit school the next day. He did. He's off the grid. I get a card from him somewhere. He's living somewhere in the mountains of Washington somewhere. He's kind of like a Ted Kaczynski person. He doesn't have electricity, doesn't have phone, doesn't have internet. I'd be worried if he were sending me a package, I don't think I would open it. Okay? He's just off the grid. It distorted his opinion of what he was capable of. He's a very bright guy. But because he had an 85% average and he failed the class. And oh, by the way, he had never gotten anything other than an A, ever. Ever. So this destroyed him. He failed a class. It destroyed him. And he quit school. Don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's chopping down trees. I don't know. This is what grading on a curve means. Okay, so don't talk to me about grading on a curve. We aren't grading on a curve. Okay, you have to demonstrate. But this is what that normal distribution. This is how the mean and the standard deviation work together. They show you how you compare to everyone else. Not what you've learned, not what you've accomplished, but how you fit into this nice mold that sits out there. When I had to take a psychology class when I was, a couple of psychology classes when I was in college too. And the instructor, by that time I had taken statistics, so I knew what I was talking about. The instructor, the first test that came back, all we saw on the test was a standard score. And standard scores, 99.7% have scores that were going to be between a positive 3 and a negative 3. It ranked us compared to everybody else. There was a girl that sat next to me. that her score came back and she saw a negative 1.5 on her score. She freaked. She started bawling, she started crying, she left. She shouldn't have left. She should have waited until we found out what the mean was and what the standard deviation was. After she bolted out, the instructor went, interesting. Well, anyway, let me continue. The average score was a 97 and the standard deviation was a 0.5. 97, 96.5, 96, and she had a negative 1.5. She freaked. She bawled, she left. Everybody wanted to know why she left. I sat there in the corner smirking. No one knew what their grades meant. The instructor wasn't going to tell us what they meant. And I'm just sitting there in the corner smirking, and someone says, what are you? I said, well, I know what grade I got. So they started paying me $5 a shot to translate their scores from the standard scores into real world scores. And it wasn't until one other girl whose boyfriend was also a math major busted me, and so I stopped getting money. But for about 8 weeks, I was getting 8 people, 10 people in class every time who would want me to translate their scores, and I'd say $5, $5, $5. That was my eating money, because my parents were lucky to be able to send me to college. Okay, and I was not one of those lucky ones that had a full-ride scholarship. I had a partial scholarship, but that's neither here nor there. We're not going to go there. That's back in the dark ages before they invented dirt. All right. So here we go. Now, how does that affect you, and what does that mean to you? This is a pretty typical type of question.